All right. So I think we can just start so we can have enough time to have a very robust and impactful conversation this afternoon. Thank you once again. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen in the house. It's a beautiful day, it's a special day. And welcome to a special edition of my HR Story Live, the Mother's Day edition. Basically, what we do is we offer a platform for fun and learning where we use the concept of storytelling and speed mentoring, learning from the stories and the repository of our speakers and participants in the house as well. No script, no format. We just want to talk about our real life experiences, then take learnings as well. Because research has equally shown that when we share our stories, people can relate more, people can remember that more. So stories also help us create a community of connection. I mean, it helps us know that you're not the only one going through certain issues, but there are other people who might have gone through that, and you can take learnings from them. Storytelling is a powerful and beautiful act that creates connection, evokes emotion, and spur us to action. And basically, that's just what we are here to do this afternoon. Once again, thank you, everyone. I'll play an intro video, and afterwards, I'll read the profile of our special guest in the house. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy. Thank you once again, everyone. Thank you so much. So I'll just go ahead and read the profile of our special guest speaker. I mean, it's a special day, and we are so honored to have her. She's someone who is very passionate about women. We'll hear her story, and of course, she's got a lot to share with us this afternoon. I'm also itching. I mean, we were chatting yesterday. I mean, we sort of shared a couple of things that I believe she would share, and she would delve further in today. And I'm really excited. So who is Ada Onyeri? Ada is a seasoned senior HR leader and speaker who's got over 60 years plus career story spanning across various functions and geographies. She is passionate about people fulfilling potential and has contributed immensely to talent development, formally and informally. Ada believes in the place of vulnerability on our path to becoming and is well known for her grandeur, determination, humility, creativity, charisma, and honor. And for me, I think that is really profound. Whereas as a leader, as a woman leader, you can come up and express your vulnerability. I mean, in a world where there's just so much around, once you're a leader, you just have to be perfect in your way. But we know that as humans, we are not perfect. So I think Ada, I found that really profound, reading that from your profile. Ada believes that life is beautiful and we owe it to ourselves to live it to the fullest. Ada adores God and remains in awe of his wisdom and love, and that is spiritual connection. I'm sure she's also going to talk to us on the importance as women, right, to have that very strong spiritual connection to our source. On the family side, Ada is married to her lover, Ugo, and together they have 3 beautiful, lovely daughters. I've seen one of them already this afternoon. They're all always around her all the time. They remind her that as a career woman, you can indeed have it all. Wow, wow. Ada, I mean, reading your profile, very humbling. I just want to say thank you once again for accepting to be our special guest on a beautiful day like this. And on that note, I would like to call on Ada. Ada, the floor is yours. Let's get to know you. Who is Ada Onyeri? Over to you, Ada.
Good afternoon, all. Can you hear me? So, tell me, Lara, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So you will see two Ada Onyeris today because I have brought Junior Ada Onyeri and as my personal assistant and will I say a junior digital native. We are swapping tools as we go by, thanks to the technology. Yes. So I am presenting you Adugo Onyeri and the opportunity to share my story on such a very honorable occasion as the Mothering Sunday. And I want to say to all the women out there, Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for joining and prioritizing this session because it's a busy time for people. I know, yes, you have families to cook rice for and to celebrate with and kids to take out, but you've prioritized this time. And for the gentlemen that have joined, thank you for supporting our stories and for telling us that, yes, we can. And definitely this world is beautiful with having you around. So a little bit of who Ada is. Lara did share a little bit in the profile. I think I will start with sharing my career story. So some of you probably have read Coach Lara's lovely book, which you see on the screen. Yes. If you have not bought that book, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please do subscribe and get a copy. So some of my story is in there. But let me share a little bit of my journey so far. So this 16-year journey or 16 plus journey started sometime in 2004. Actually, before then, I worked for a multinational company by name Maersk. That name has suffered different branding, different versions, Maersk, Max, and all that. But just want to let you know the name is Maersk. And it was love at first sight. And that love has gone from years to decades and a decade and almost getting to 2 decades. And to share what has kept me going in this journey so far. When I joined, it was as a graduate trainee. I've served in functions of the commercial side, in customer service. Yes, I did customer service. I started from the ground. I did documentation, service delivery. And then as the program required, we had to expatriate to another country. So as a young girl, barely 25, then we had to make choices to move to other locations. And I decided to move to Belgium. I must say that decision did not come easy. It took quite some courage. It was my first time leaving home, in the sense of leaving the shores of Nigeria to live outside the country. And it has indeed proven to me to be a pivotal phase in my career. I did get the opportunity to interact with other cultures there in Belgium, but also in the commercial role. And in 2008, it was time to come back. So that was where my romance with HR started. I was offered some roles, Lara, in the commercial function, but I told them I wanted to be in human resources. And people often ask me, Ada, why did you opt for HR? By the way, I didn't study human resources. I have no degree in human resources. I studied mathematics and computer science in a tertiary institution that some of you know, which is a glorified boys' school, Federal University of Technology, Owerri. Yes, spent 5 years studying computer science and mathematics. And apart from using the computers, I'm not sure I did anything more than that. So when it was time to come back, I actually decided for HR for a few reasons. I had been one of those people who had been complaining, who had been whining about things that were not going so well in the HR function at the time, in my view, right? I felt that there are many things that could be done right, and I wanted to be part of the change. I wanted to move from being, the one pointing the finger to say being part of the problem solving. So finding a solution to that. So that was one. I also wanted to get closer to people on full and helping people to fulfill potential. So unleashing potential, capability building. I found that was something that was just innate in me, coming from my secondary school, university, and NYSC days. So after a few months of forward and backward with the then area HR manager, or cluster as it was, I was offered my first HR stint as the learning and development manager for the cluster as it was, Nigeria, Benin, Togo at the time. So I came back home to Nigeria, and in 2010, another change happened. I was, at that point, Ghana had joined the area, right? And my boss called me in for a meeting. And he said, so Ghana has joined us. There was quite some issues going on in the Ghana organization. They had just been unionized, many issues going on there that we sat down to discuss. So he was asking my views, and I told him a few things about, what I thought, the suggestions, solutions. And he said, okay, so we'll need somebody that said, oh yes, we need somebody to go there and support them and all that. And then he said, so how soon will you be ready? When can you move? And honestly, that took me off, because this was me who was less than 2 years in human resources. And I actually had proposed another name, a more senior colleague at the time, to him. And he said, no, Ada, I mean you. I said, no, you must be kidding. And so I left him and I went to meet the MD. And I told him, this is a discussion I've had with my boss. And he said, yes. And he brought out his hands to congratulate him. And I said, I don't understand, sir. He said, yes, you're the one, you'll go. I stuttered a little bit. But then I took a step back and I said, thank you, sir. So you see, for me, Lara, what that did was, it reminds me that people take chances on us, right? And if they didn't take that chance on me, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. Because the rest of the story is what has made Ada what she is today in terms of my HR career. So there I was, April 2010, I left Nigeria to Ghana. Was still very single, very young, I thought. And I was going to lead up a team of solid men. When I mean solid, much older than myself, men in their 40s or close to 50s then, who had not less than 10 years experience in human resources. And they were sending this little girl from Nigeria. Bear in mind, the Nigeria-Ghana dichotomy, it's not just on jollof rice, right? It's on other dimensions. And they sent this little girl to go and lead up the team in a time where there was a lot of issues, union and all that. When I look back, Lara, I remember that for the union side, that what prepared me for this was while I was in Nigeria. I remember when my former HR manager was going for union meetings, and one of the days I asked him, I want to join you people for those meetings. And he told me it's nothing fun. You don't want to go. And I said, no, but I'm not doing anything in the office, right? And that was how I had my first stint exposure with the unions. And that experience actually prepared me for Ghana, because right from my first few months, I got straight into dealing with union issues. And I was just saying, God, thank you that I had that exposure then, to the union side. So Ghana was a trying time for me. But I look back and I say that was the crux for me. It was my first leadership role. And remember, leading two gentlemen, one who had actually applied or thought he was going to get the job, and another one. So it didn't come easy. One of the things when we had our first meeting, I told them, amongst other things, that I am looking forward to cooperating. The usual things we say as a leader now, your support and all that. And one of the men said, yeah, thank you, very nice words, it's great to see you and all that. But we don't want, when you're leaving, to bring another Niger person for us, because Nigeria was the head country. And I said, I'd really like that. I throw the challenge back to you guys. If you want to succeed in this role, then you would prepare yourself to take this. I don't even intend to stay long on this role. And it was a mix of adventures there, experiencing different changes, leadership change, organizational changes, functional changes as well. And in 2012, I was in Lagos for a session. And during the break, my MD called me and said, listen, the area HR manager at the time, his time was up, he was an expatriate, and we're talking of what to do. And I said, yeah, he told me about that. And he said, so how about coming back to Nigeria? By the way, in between that stint in Ghana, I got married. So I got married in April 2011, a year after I joined the Ghana organization. And so I had my fair share of what they say, and distant love, from afar, or what do you call it, doing love by phone. And but thank God at that time, Aero Contractors was very nice with their fares, for less than 20,000, you could fly in. So it helped for the relationship at the time. And so I got back into Nigeria, not that I applied for, but because I had probably convinced them that I had, what it takes to do the job, but also because Ghana had developed me for this. So this was part of the plan, but I didn't really have the full plan in that sense. I got back into Nigeria and led the team of 5 countries: Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, Benin, and we added Niger at some point. Interesting leadership journey. I had fantastic team to work with. Some of them are on this call. I've led both homogeneous and heterogeneous teams, in terms of genders and different demographics. And in 2017, I took an additional responsibility as the learning partner for Africa region. That was something that came out of passion. I had been one of those following my regional HR director speaking about opportunities, for capability building and fulfilling potential. And when the incumbents left, the lady approached me and said, now it's time to do the work. And so for me, one thing there out to those who are listening, particularly younger in the early part of your career, is that don't be afraid to raise your hand up, for those opportunities. Don't wait. You actually start preparing for your role, not when it's applied or the role you desire. I think many people make that mistake. They wait until when the role is advertised and then they show up. My friend belief is that the preparation for that role actually starts some time back. So 2017, I started as an additional responsibility, wearing 2 hats, responsible for the area and for learning for the region. And in 2020, last year, just as COVID hit the world, I took on this current capacity as the head of talent attraction and acquisition for Europe and Africa, based out of Nigeria, but should be moving at some point to Europe. So that has been my career in a few minutes.
Wow, Ada, that is really loaded, fantastic. I mean, listening to your story, your career story from when you were a young lady, took on international role, to leadership, to marriage, and now more international leadership responsibility. Fantastic, very interesting and inspiring story. A couple of questions came to my mind. I mean, while we wait for others to post their questions in the chat box. So Ada, you talked about having to travel, then starting a young family. I mean, for some of us that are here physically with our spouses and we are starting families, it's been a bit stressful. So I'm just wondering, how did you cope with your international assignment and a young family, and of course the baby started coming? What helped you through that entire period?
Okay, I get asked this question often, and I don't
know how you did it, but please, we want to know.
I'll say one thing. I'm first of all, I'm definitely work in progress. So this is not perfection, girls or guys or whoever is out there on the call. But so CL, what helped me, and I say this with all confidence to those out there. I think the greatest asset that any career woman, mother, can invest in is your support system. And that's something that has really, really, really helped me. Now, your support system starts with the person you decide to hook your life with for the rest of your life, right? So if you're still single and mingling and all the gingling, please do spend some time in between the mingling and gingling to really find out what tickles them and how they also tickle you and all that, but that how they can support your own aspirations as much as you support theirs. Be looking for people, right? And this is probably going into some counseling sessions for singles. But I think it's important that somebody who supports your ambition. Because when my husband met me, right, I was already a career lady, and I was not stopping that. So I didn't hide that. So I do encourage people to please don't be afraid to be yourself. Support system for me when from marriage and kids is having helps. I have a very fantastic support in terms of a sister, what some people would call nanny, or my kid's second mom. I don't know how I would have been able to do that without that. And I know in some clients, it's not easy to do that. It's expensive to hire such a person at a very consistent level. But I tell people, I say, your energy levels, your strength levels. If you can't, please ensure you invest in that support system in terms of your siblings, your parents, people, your friends, having cheerleaders who, when the chips are down, people who can say, Ada, you can do this. Ada, you've got this. Ada, you know what? Let's talk. You can do this. I think that is really what has helped me through this, managing all those phases.
Wow, that was profound. Your support system starts with the person you're going to marry, your life partner. Fantastic. Wow. All right, ladies, if you have questions, please post your question in the chat box and we'll pick it up on there. So, Ada, looking at your career, do you think that the way you were raised as a girl child sort of influenced the woman that you are becoming? Because I was having a couple of conversations with some people a few weeks back, and there were discussions around how we raise the female child and how that sort of impacts the way her life is formed afterwards, from the way she thinks. So do you think that's in any way sort of helped instill those principles, those courageous acts and decisions that you had to take at some point as a young lady to take on a role to leave the country? Did it influence it in any way? I mean, I remember there was a time that a young mentee of mine spoke to me about the need for her to take on a particular role. And the feedback she got from her parents were, you are single, you want to take a managerial role with an SUV car, who will marry you? And that sort of put her in a state that she started doubting herself, that is pursuing her career going to be at the detriment of her future of being a successful married woman, in quotes. So I would just like to hear how that upbringing from your end did help you to become the woman that you are today.
Fantastic. Thanks, Lara. I would have loved that my mom was on this call, but she's at another engagement at the moment. Because she is the reason for my being who I am in terms of when you talk about raising girl child, right, today. So I come from a family of 5. One thing that my parents did was not to raise us as in terms of the gender lens. My mom was very, very particular about that equal playing ground. So the men cooked. Yeah, my brothers can actually cook better than myself. We did go to the farm. People actually say that you can't. I can't believe you in the farm. So we did farm work, both genders, and also encouraged. So the females, I have a sister as well, that we can do what the men can do. So there was never that thing that this is what the girl child should do. And I think that is, if I look back, it never was, I never saw those gender things. I think it was as I came into the workplace that it, started reflecting of, oh, the girl child. But as a girl child, I did not feel it because my parents ensured that we did not wear the gender first. We wore the individual first. Bring your value. My mom went out to get to what she wanted, in an academic. So I grew up in a very academic background. To some of you know that. My dad was a prof of blessed memory, and my mom is a retired registrar of different institutions. So, of course, coming from that background, there are already a lot of expectations. But what they did, particularly my mom, was to stress that you don't cut yourself short because you were a woman or you were a girl. She encouraged all the time. I can remember all the activities I had, right from going for stage shows. I love stage performances, and going for quizzes and debates and competitions. She was making sure that, yes, you don't stop on that. Now, as a young adult, your question about you're a single girl, you are progressive, society tends to put that label on you, right? That you are kind of not an attractive material, wife material. I did have those labels, I must say. So I didn't get married before 25, as many parents were. I did have those labels. But I think what worked for me was, what did I want to fulfill? I knew what I wanted. And I was not going to let some other person make me feel bad. There were times, yeah, it got to me, I must say, yeah. But I was able to show that what is wife material? Is wife material the one that is not progressing in work, right? What do you want from a woman? You want somebody who's humble, somebody who's supportive, somebody who's... So the fact that you are progressive at work doesn't mean that as a person, you are rude, you are arrogant or whatever. And I think that is something that we need to be mindful of, that, being a career woman doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot be a good wife material in that space. And so it's constantly showcasing. So walk that talk, right? So make sure that people see what you think you are. And that has helped. And I think it's also about the circles you keep and being able to challenge some of those people. So you have those aunties and uncles who would throw it back at you. I like to use humor, and I say, Uncle, thank you. Which husband did you bring for me? Did I say no to them? And then we get talking. So if you are expecting me to have been married, which one did you bring? That's it. And then you get into that conversation to really unpack, why are they thinking like this? So for me, it's people should get to know me first, right? Connect with me first, and not really what you see about it. I think maybe also the air you carry around you could be a detractor. So it's around the personalities, right? And not necessarily around the profession or the career space you are in at that time.
Okay, thank you so much, Ada. Thank you. I think that was spot on. I have a question for you here. Ada, can you please share how you managed to fix some of the union issues when you were at Ghana, specifically the approach you used, and what were your key learnings?
Hello? Yes.
Thank you, Michael. Yes. So Ghana was quite a learning platform. So I failed at a few things, and I learned from those feelings. And on reflections, what worked eventually was, how do you see the union? So initially we saw them as, our enemies. And we got the reaction that enemies give, right? If you make me your enemy, I will make your life hell. And that was what happened then. And then until we started realizing that, you see, this is not working. And I say we because it was me and my team. I don't take credit for this. Those guys really, really tried out there to change the narrative. So it took a lot of communication and transparency, guys. I must say this. If you want buy-in, you must be ready to give something. So we had to be very transparent in approaching them. So we did a lot of communication, a lot of communication. I started calling them our partners. I went off from using that. So if you want to make some organizational changes, we'll call on them and, you know, ask them, guy, Masa, how far now be, you know, sometimes more of informal sessions, you know, all this gra-gra. We leave the role and it ends. And we want to see somebody outside after that. See, the unions exist as long as there's a feeling of denial of benefits or rights or something. So as an institution, if you already giving them that, you're reducing the power, so to speak, of the unions. But every union exists to show to its members that they have power. So sometimes we found that ego. You know, sometimes, Lara, there will be ideas that have come from us, but we will we'll spin it around like it's the union that have come up with those ideas. You know, we want to also win small. Charlie, now you see, Masa, you know, you heal. So those were some of the tips that worked and still worked for me in my previous role as area HR manager in Nigeria, because that was also a unionized terrain. But of course, you keep learning different styles coming, and you find out what works. Listen to people out in the industry as well. To, you know, don't you're not an island, so you have industry unions. Talk to your peers, guys. What's going on? Sometimes they try to pitch one company against the other, so finding out a little bit helps. Network, yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Ada. I have a couple of questions already for you. So there is a question for you from Toba Best. It reads, good afternoon, Ada. Thank you for this great opportunity to speak to us on this special day. You mentioned that we shouldn't wait for opportunity before making our intention known. My question is, what do you suggest will be the best approach to getting your intention known to the organization when someone is planning to change career path, especially if you are a talent where you are currently?
Okay. So for me, thanks, Toby, for this. For me, what I believe in is make your personal, that you aspire for should be known by others. You know, if it's known by you only, then only you will fix it, will solve it, and most likely you wouldn't get there. But as long as you share these hopes and aspirations, right, with somebody else, starting with your immediate supervisor, manager, line manager, then there's some progress in that direction. So make your PD, we talk about PDPs, and I know people hate to, your HR has come with PDP, but they're actually, what is it? Apart from the forms you have to fill, it's actually those conversations, right? Speaking to that boss to say, I have some interest in, let's say you're in HR and I would like to move into communications. I would like to move into strategy, you know, but start having those conversations. You see, the chances are that your manager is having discussions with people that would be making decisions regarding those opportunities, or that may have those opportunities. But if he doesn't know that Ada is interested in communication, if an opportunity comes up in communications, he is not going to say, but Ada, contact Ada, I think she's interested, because I have never shared that as aspiration, right, with him. So that I think it's somewhere you can start by communicating and making that transparent enough, and put your hands up for opportunities when they come. I was in a focus group discussion sometime, and people were complaining, engagement session. We don't get these additional responsibilities. We don't, and I said, see, it's a trade-off. When the opportunities come, are you ready to make the sacrifice? Because it is additional responsibilities, which means you will still be performing in your role and delivering in the additional responsibilities. But oftentimes, those additional responsibilities are actually what launch you forward. So putting your hands up for additional responsibilities in your desired path where you want to move to, right? Like I spoke about learning when I took on the learning partner role. It was because before then I had been bugging my manager and giving her ideas, so not just complaining, guys. I would come up with ideas on learning and share with her. And when the vacancy came, it was easy to say, this girl has demonstrated passion. She's also demonstrated some strength, and there is an opportunity here. Let's see how we can make this work, for her. I did the 2 jobs for 1 salary. It's okay. It's HR.
Thank you
I
so
hope
much.
that helps.
Oh, sure, it does. It does. Thank you so much, Ada. I have a question here from one of your devices on this session. So it reads, hello, Auntie Lara. I know this is the first time you're seeing me. Please ask Ada, the way Ghana was going, was it how Ghana Must Go Back came about?
No. No. Ghana Must Go Back came, I think, when I was still a toddler or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
All right, so I have a question here from Isioma. Thanks, Ada, for sharing your story. Can you share some key factors that informed your decision to move into your current role? Also, how did you make the transition from customer service to HR?
Thanks, Isi. So what informed my decision to take on the current role, which is on talent attraction and acquisition? So it's like moving from generalist, right, to specialist role. From some level of convenience, comfort zone, to some level of uncertainty. And I think one of the things that made me do that was more like have a dose of your own medicine, walk your talk. So let me give some context here. I had been the head of HR. I had for about 8 years in this area role. I had encouraged and nurtured talent. I had challenged people to step out of their comfort zones and take on, new roles, even when they think they were not qualified. I've had conversations with people who said they were not ready for the role. And I said, no, you go back and apply. We don't want you ready for the role. We want you almost ready because we want to develop you there, And then this time came, right? And it was, okay, let's see. So it was an opportunity for me to then walk my talk. I had been having those conversations with myself, right? But as a leader, I also want to be able to reflect what I preach. And so that was good timing. My company was going through some HR transformation and opportunities were coming up. And it was just the right timing to walk that talk, to say, challenge yourself out of your comfort zone into something that is not quite you, right? That will stress you a bit, but also stretch you. So it's a bit of stress and stretch where I am. And that's one. The other part is that the role in itself connects to employee experience. And that's an area that recently I started having some interest in. So talent attraction is like the first point of the employee experience, right? It starts with the candidate experience. And for me, it's about how can I be instrumental to making impact for my company at that level on employee experience, starting from one, which is the candidate experience, bringing into the employee environment. So I would just say those two. Then what made me transition from customer service to HR? So I had touched on it a little bit earlier. I wanted HR for some reasons because I wanted to stop being the complainer and get into and get my hands to fix it. And to be very honest, I tell you something, Lara. So when I joined HR, I was already complaining, right? And they gave me that, oh yeah, madam, you have been saying, come and do the work.
Come and do the HR now.
Come and do the HR. I had actually complained of all these salaries. Why are people not all earning the same salaries? Why are we? I kept, challenging many things. And my boss then would just say, she would join us. And then I joined HR. And after like 3 months, he would come to me and say, Ada, father, how many changes? and it occurred to me that what you see from outside, many times, like they say, he who wears the shoe knows where it pinches. Oftentimes, we are the best judges from outside, right? It's only when you get in that you realize that they are really key issues, right? And that's what led me to HR. But relating the both functions, customer service and HR, there's quite a lot of overlaps there. Today, we talk a lot about customer experience. I used to tell my team, replace everything that we do on the customer experience level. Just take out customer and put employee, and it's the same. So there is transferable skills from customer service to HR for those who want to change. Yeah, I'm just trying to encourage you in that part, that if you're in customer service out here, that is convincing you today that hear the word, HR can be your space. So yes, those were the reasons for those transitions.
Yeah, thanks, Ada. So you mentioned something very crucial for those who are looking at transitioning from customer service to HR, there are a couple of transferable skills. Do you want to highlight a few? What were those skills that, when you got into HR sort of helped you? And for people, because I realized that one of the challenges we have with people who want to transition is they are not aware, of what are those skills that they can transfer to another department or another career that they want to pursue. So I think it starts first from being self-aware of what your transferable skills are, and then how can you use the skills as you move to another career. I always tell people that I know senior people who's never done HR before in their life, and they took on HR leadership role. At that senior level. And one of the things that helped them basically were those transferable skills from the formal career path that they had grown their careers over the years. So I would like to ask, what are those transferable skills that someone who perhaps is looking at transitioning from customer service to HR, can you list some of them?
Fantastic. So I've got two right off here on my head. One is emotional intelligence. I said something towards the end of last year. I said emotional intelligence has gone out from being the exclusive preserve of certain functions, right? What is emotional intelligence, right? You're talking about being aware of your own emotions and how you also regulate, that with others. That definitely is there. Second one is creative problem solving. Guys, you people who are out in customer service, every daily you are solving problems, and today's problems are more complex. So you have to think fast, right? And think on your feet. That's creativity. In human resources, it's very similar. The world of work has changed, right? I don't even want to say future of work. It's the now of work. It's changed, right? So the needs of the employee has gone from being a very heterogeneous, it's coming homogeneous, it goes to heterogeneous. It's like a sinusoidal movement, right? And so you still need those skills as well too in HR. You've got to think on your feet. Agility is another one. Agility, for me, speaks to how you respond to changes or respond to stimulus, as we used to hear in the biology, right? And so that stimuli can be external environment, could also be internal. In the world of customer experience, and customer service is a function, just bear in mind, customer experience is not a function in itself. But let's take it from a function perspective. In the world of customer service, right? You are exposed to competitors also, just like sales, right? You're dealing with information customers are giving you from competition and the world out there. You've got to know what's happening. What are the trends out there? In human resources, it's not anything less. So if people think, I hear people say, I want to move into HR because I love people. It's not just about people. It's not just about people. You've got to know your numbers too. These things come around. And when you talk about that agility and understanding the market, it's there in HR. Now we're having all those trends, following the trend. Why are we doing that? Every employer wants to have a competitive advantage. And it starts with having the unique talent, right? So if I, as the human resource person, I'm not looking out for what others are doing to attract, to retain, to grow and retain those talents, right, better than others, then of course I'm losing an opportunity. So those are the 3 or 4 I could have talked about: emotional intelligence, creative problem solving, agility, you know.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ada. I have about 2 more questions here. One is, what is the most common stereotype that you have had to encounter in the workplace, given the fact that you work in a male-dominated environment? And how did you challenge them?
Okay, thank you. So yes, traditionally shipping is a very male-dominated environment, but I like to start up here by saying I probably have not encountered so many because of the organization that I work for, and that's because we are very deliberate about the D&I agenda. That said, we're still humans at the workplace, right? So there have been times when I have faced certain stereotypes. One that comes to me very readily is this stereotype that women can't work with women. You know, I can't report to a woman. I don't know how many of you have heard that, but some people say, no, it's a female boss. You female, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I've led both homogeneous and heterogeneous teams in my over 10-year journey of 12 years as a leader. I've had teams of one gender, right, females, and I've had teams where we've had both male and female. And today I have a team that is all female. And I stand to say I have some of my team here out here, and you're welcome to please share. But I do believe that we challenge that stereotype as a team, that women can't work with women. There's a lot of care going on in the team. And I also believe in co-owning the solution, right? So it's not just the leader that has to, do this. So every one of us is in it for this, guys. If I fail, all of us fail. They will look at us and say, oh, women, you see what we say, they can't work together. So that was one stereotype. The other stereotype that I did face a couple of times, and I'll give a story about that. So this was also in Ghana. When they had those union issues, we went to the Labor Commission one of the days, and I went to introduce my two good-looking, big, much older men, right? And this young girl. Just try and stay with me on this story. Try and picture this, right? And I probably had a bag, and they had some nice, folders and things with them. And when it was our turn, we got in there. And the time of introduction, the two gentlemen introduced themselves, and they kind of passed me. I was like, what just happened here? They just passed me and they continued, okay, so let's go on.
Like, you were not there.
Like I wasn't there. Charlie, I was fuming inside. I was like, what just happened now? Did I come all the way from Tema to Accra to get insulted? All those things. I was like, what just happened? But they had gone on, and one of my colleagues who was responsible at the time for industrial relations was speaking. And so when they finished the whole thing and we're wrapping up, we're coming out, one of the gentlemen passed and said, so by the way, who are you? And I said, I lead this team. And that was it. The man was like, hey, madam.
Hey, madam, of course, it will change. Hey, story will change.
Hey, you didn't say, hey, and it was like, yeah, I got my pound of flesh, right? And the man came after, was looking for me. Of course, he had CV of his daughter who was looking for work, and because I had said I lead the team, right? All of a sudden, the whole dynamics had changed. What am I bringing out here? There's this stereotype we talk about that men take charge, women take care. I think that was what I was dealing with there. The men, they saw the men as taking charge of the situation, and put me in the take care. It's a lady. I mean, she's probably not the one leading the team. She's very young. You judge us by our looks, right?
And by our stature.
Yeah, judged by our looks. Yeah, and
frail.
stature, frail. You know, she's probably remember, you know, all those things. Some other biases that you know, you see things like I will put it this way: that a career woman, you know, you're either loyal to your family or you are loyal to work. So that you're always facing that you can't be loyal to both. That if you're loyal to family, then you're disloyal to work. If you're loyal to work, you're disloyal to family. So oftentimes you hear things like, these ambitious women, they have go and check their family, shall accommodate them. Maybe she and her husband, they are divorced or something like that. Or there's some going on there. So that's something that I have had to challenge by how much I show up and share my story, you know, around. I don't think there's anything bad in sharing those stories. But I also believe in being able to, you know, compromise. See, this thing about work-life balance for me it's more about compromise. I tend to use that word balance very selectively because I believe it tips, you know, in different directions. So there was a time in my life that as a senior leader, I was shying away from team outings in the evenings because I was a family woman. Because I have to take care of the kids now, take care of the work, school the next day. But you know, I came to a point and I realized that I was doing myself a disservice actually. Because some of these discussions were also happening at those team dinners, customer events in the evenings, and I was not there. So I had to tell myself, if you really want to be shown and be seen as a woman that is capable, not just a woman. I didn't want anybody to give me excuses or give me opportunities because I was a woman, but because I was a capable. I have to start showing up for those dinners, right? But it means you have to plan ahead. You have to prepare. Again, remember that whole thing about support system. So it worked for me because I have a strong support system. So that's my foundation. Invest in a support system, plan ahead, and also tend to negotiate as well too. You know, we cut ourselves short. We want to be, you know, the MD, but we're not ready to do the work of the MD. See, the MD would have to meet with customers. And sometimes the customer is meeting at 8 o'clock. I'm not saying, guys, that you leave your value. So there's a bit of value set. So this is not value set. This is really about, so there's nothing, when you talk about value, I mean, there's nothing wrong with going to see a customer. But if you plan ahead, you could also negotiate too with them. I found out that sometimes we don't get it because we don't ask, right? So I have a colleague, a senior colleague of ours, who we also felt the same way. And they will start asking, but can't we have this dinner in the afternoon? Can't it be team lunch? Can't we meet? But it changed because we asked, right? So oftentimes we'll have to make a mix. Sometimes we'll make it a dinner, sometimes we'll make it a lunch to accommodate, you know, the different needs of those on site. So those are some of the things I've had to deal with when it talks about stereotypes. But how do you also, you know, put yourself forward for those opportunities?
How do you put yourself forward for those opportunities? How do you show up? Wow, profound. Okay, so Titi Lara Yeku has been, she's been humid since. It'll be nice to hear your thoughts. I mean, these are really deep conversations for us as women. I think it has to come to a time where we need to talk about it and learn from one another. I mean, you spoke about planning ahead so that you can also show up at those type of meetings. And I think for me as well, it's just also one area I need to begin to look into. I love my space. I mean, just come out, do the work, then go into my space and chill. But I realized that for me to begin to take on more critical responsibilities within my organization, then I have to be close to the customer and of course be close to the executive management team. And I think it's one area that as women, for us to progress, especially if you're looking at getting to the peak of our career, we might want to consider that at some point. later on in future. And thank you so much, Ada, for being very real and authentic as you share your story with us today. I think I have one more question. So my other question is for young mid-level career women. Do you think that how can we be overly ambitious at any point? So for instance, you're a lady and you're aspiring for career growth and you're doing everything that is required of you, but you're also putting in that extra. Is there any time when you need to check so you don't come too overly ambitious, like, oh, she's struggling to be noticed, she's struggling to get that, she's struggling for her voice to be heard? Can there be any such time in a young lady's career that she needs to be mindful of, or she just encourage her to be open and bold and just be audacious and just go for it? What do you think?
Okay, so a few things there, because a very, very interesting question there, and I reflect. A few things for me is that, anything excessive, of course, is bad. So moderation, right? So when we say ambitious, in its word, there is nothing wrong with being ambitious. But when you say overtly ambitious, then I do get concerned. And it has nothing to do with gender. So I would also be concerned with a gentleman who is overtly ambitious, because then it comes to how, we talk about the what and the how. And you find out such people then tend to cut corners and, value system is out of the window, right? Because of the excess desire, right? So ambition in itself is what? Just a strong determination to succeed. Simple grammar English. Is a woman entitled to that as much as a man? Yes, 100%, 200%, yes. And I don't think it has to even do with any aspects or levels of your career, whether it's mid-level or senior level. So actually what I do find out, and that's also what we see within our industry, and I think it does reflect in beyond our industry, is that the higher women go, at some point we lose that representation. So you have more female representation in lower levels. When you get to management, middle management, the numbers start dropping. And that's because we've allowed ourselves to go with the labels of societies. That's me, that's what I think, right? Society will tell you that if you're ambitious as a woman, it means you are bossy, you are aggressive, you're pushy. But if you're a man, you know those words that they use for the men, you are visionary. That's a visionary leader. I mean, that's because he's a man. But if it's a female, then she's bossy, she's aggressive. So I think we also need to challenge the labels that we have accepted as females, right? Every one of us seeks to fulfill purpose on earth. There's a reason, this God who created us, and that is my source, right? I do believe at the end of the day, I live to fulfill the purpose that God put me here on earth. And whether I'm a man or a woman, we all deserve to fulfill our purpose. So ambition is aspiring, right, to fulfill that purpose and being focused around it. So my counsel to anybody out there is, don't be afraid to put forward your ambitions. Don't be afraid to do that. I think the challenge, it comes more in the how and when we go overboard with that. Don't also follow copy, follow the Joneses, right? What worked for this person may not necessarily work for you, right? And then at the workplace, you have things about the political landmines that we talk about, right? So be mindful that they will be there, whether it's need. In fact, I think the higher you go, the more the landmines you have to face. A senior leader once told me, it gets grayer. It doesn't say, it says the higher you go, the cooler it gets, is the lie. The higher you go, the grayer, that's what I say, the grayer it gets. So you will face a lot more challenge. For those who are aspiring for leadership, don't think it's all about the fancy titles and things. You will still be competing. So you cannot want to aspire and shy away from competition. Because with ambition, it means that you would compete with limited resources, with limited opportunities, probably with people of the same gender or not, right? So be ready for competition and what it takes, right? Be ready to also stay true to your inner you, because when the tough times and tough decisions come, it's only about your value systems and what you believe in. And encourage yourself. Don't stop because some other person has told you. So don't limit yourself because some other person has told you, if you do this, then we'll be seen as this, those labels. Let's try as well to challenge those labels that have been put on us.
Yeah, wow, Ada, that was profound. As women, we need to challenge ourselves. Wow, thank you so much, Ada. I don't know if there's any other, so we've gotten to the end of the session. Thank you. Umi says, amazing response, Ada. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ada. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Ibukun also reemphasizes what you mentioned around having a very strong support system as women. Thank you so much. Very well spoken. Lots of learnings, great learnings for every one of us this evening. Thank you so much, Ada. That was really, really profound. And what would be your parting words to women? I mean, it's another period where we celebrate women. Today is a remarkable day as it's Mother's Day. What would be your thoughts to every woman out there?
So Lara, yesterday, let me tell you something. I can share it here. This is family. Yesterday, I slept, is it even yesterday? I slept at 3 a.m. and I woke up at 5:48 a.m. today. Some people on this call know. So you could say 2 hours 48 minutes. Yeah. I was the last person to go to bed. I was the first person. Well, two people, myself and my support, we woke up about the same time. My help at home here, and I sat down and I thought about this and I said, listen, we don't celebrate ourselves enough. Forget the days that we have International Women's Day, Mother's Day, yes. But I think sometimes we cut ourselves short, we sell ourselves short. I think we need to cut ourselves some slack, girls and ladies. You are the one planning meals for a family. That's some creative problem solving. When you are the one coordinating school runs and all that, and with tight budgets that are given to you, sometimes we forget that we can be good project managers, right? And so I just want to say, on this day that is Mothering Sunday, everyone out there, please celebrate yourself. Find some time to celebrate yourself. And if you don't have anyone if you don't feel, sometimes you cannot, you're in a deep motivation wise. So we do have that. I encourage you in your circle, always have a cheer person. If you have friends and there's no one really cheering, you're going to rethink your friends, right? When the chips are down, that sometimes we don't have the motivation to go ahead. I can guarantee you. But you need that friend who can tell you, girl, you've got it. So invest in that. And you know what? Don't cut yourselves. Celebrate the woman you are. Celebrate the woman you are becoming. It's progress, as we say, not perfection. And please go and have fun. Let's not take your day. Go and enjoy all the time out with your family and loved ones.
Oh, thank you so much. And on that note, I want to say that we celebrate every woman on this HR Storybook Live Series today. Yes, you're an amazing being. You're special, you're phenomenal, you're beautiful. And I pray that the Lord will continue to strengthen all women, because Anna, like you rightly mentioned, I mean, we are the last to go to bed and the first to rise in the morning. And I'm wondering, am I the only one in this house? There's just so much that is expected from us. So every superwoman out there will celebrate you. Thank you for making us some time. On that note, I'd like to invite Mary to please give the vote of thanks Mary, do we have you in the house? Vote of thanks from Mary. I'm trying to see. I'm not sure if Mary is in the house. Okay. She's not in the house. Can I call someone else? Anyone that has been blessed this afternoon and you feel led to give the vote of thanks on behalf of all amazing women on this platform, please feel free to go off mute and give the vote of thanks. Anyone? Any lady in the house?
Lara.
Yes.
Hello, Lara.
Yes.
This is Sandra.
Oh, Sandra. Oh, the oracle. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay, I private chatted you that I was stepping out because I had something to do, but somehow I could not step out. I was about stepping out, but I just could not step out. And by the way, Ada is a sister, a friend. She knows where we meet. So I just want to say, I don't think I've heard Ada's story like this, even though we've known for some time now. Ada, at the back of the room, you're in trouble. I've not heard all the story. So I just want to say to Ada, thank you so much for sharing your story. You're like an Amazon. You're somebody, other persons, not just the mid-level or junior persons, even we, the senior ones, should also look at and also learn. So we thank Lara for giving this opportunity to come here to share your story. I was blessed by it. That's why you don't understand. That's why I've not left. I'm supposed to have left them, but I could not just leave. So thank you. God bless you. I mean, he give you the grace to continue to shine. When the star starts shining, the star never stops shining. It continues and shines and more. It brings light to so many other people. So we pray that you keep bringing light to more people and more people. And I wish you more this day. Thank you so much. And Lara, thank you so much for putting this together. God bless you all.
Thank you, Sandra, the oracle. Thank you so much, everyone. So that story is in my HR Storybook, page 133. You can reach out to me and then order a copy. On that note, I want to celebrate every woman out there. Please, can we go off mute and just say thank you to Ada so Ada can hear our voices. Let's go off mute.
Thank you.
Thank you for the session.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Ada.
Ada.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ada. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Greater height.
Yeah.
All the best.
Thank you so much, everyone. On that note, enjoy the
I see you at that.
Thank you.
Ada, you won't thank the old women.